Hello, my name is Linda Stephens from Stephens Wellbeing, and I wanted to talk to you today about when two key stages in many women's lives collide. I'm talking about the postnatal phase, the fourth trimester, and perimenopause. So, both of these phases are indicative of massive hormonal change. Postnatal phase, we have had huge amounts of progesterone and estrogen flowing around our bodies to sustain our pregnancy. But once we've birthed that placenta, our progesterone levels really plummet right down, and our estrogen levels are not too far off plummeting down as well. And in our perimenopausal phase, this is when we start to have anovulatory cycles, so our ovaries are not releasing an egg mid-cycle, and therefore in the second part of our cycle, we're not producing ovarian progesterone. Progesterone is an incredibly important hormone for many, many different pathways in the body and the brain. Progesterone helps us to sleep. It helps us to remain anxiety free and calm. It helps us be able to cope with all of life's stresses. And it's part of our gut lining, it's part of our heart health. So, when we have low levels of progesterone, either after we've just had a baby or when we're in that perimenopausal phase, heading towards our final periods and then menopause itself, what can happen is we can experience symptoms which can be really quite discombobulating and really quite upsetting for our lives. So, low progesterone levels can reflect in real feelings of anxiety and even depression, big night sweats. It can make us have horrible headaches. Levels of estrogen, when they are low as well, they are very responsible for how our pelvic area works. So if we end up having a lot more bladder irritation, urgency, if our pelvic floor is just a lot less supple and flexible, and we get stress incontinence, this can be because of the low levels of estrogen we experience after birthing and also when we're in that perimenopausal phase. So, what can we be doing when we think we might be in a part of our lives where we're experiencing low levels of hormones and they might not pick up? You see, normally, if we were having a baby earlier on, we would go through the first 6 to 12 weeks after we've had our baby, and our hormone levels would start to gradually rise up again until they were pretty much the same as what we were prior to getting pregnant in the first place. But when we have more and more women who are giving birth later on in life, having their first baby even when they're in their 40s, early 40s, in fact, stats were saying that in the last couple of decades, an extra 35% of women were having their first baby between 40 and 45. So that's a massive increase in what is unkindly termed geriatric mums. So we have these women who are giving birth and not ever gaining their prior to pregnancy hormone levels back. Instead, they're going from that postnatal crash of hormones and potentially staying there with very low ovarian production of, ovarian releasing of eggs, and therefore ovarian production of progesterone. And then as we go into our mid-40s, ovaries stopping producing the same levels of estrogen. And unfortunately, as the ovaries shut up shop, they do this burst thing. They burst, so we have one more chance of a baby. So big surge of estrogen and it drops down. Big surge of estrogen drops down. So over time, you've got lower and lower and lower levels of progesterone dropping away cycle by cycle by cycle when you don't have those ovulating cycles. And then at the same time, you're having the ovaries pushing out these bits of estrogen as the overall estrogen is also dropping. And it's the surges when your estrogen is relatively high compared to progesterone. That's what causes a lot of the symptoms that women experience. And there are about 34 different symptoms. And like I said, they're very discombobulating. They can make you feel like you're losing your mind. You stop being able to say words properly for a start. So knowing that this is a completely natural, normal thing, it's not just you, it's just that there's just not enough known about it, will help you feel not quite so alone. Now, what we do need to start doing, and what we all can start doing, is taking extra care of our adrenal glands. Because as our ovaries shut up shop, as we go through the perimenopausal years, the production of estrogen and progesterone from our adrenal glands becomes so much more important. And this is the catch. Our adrenal glands either push out cortisol and adrenaline if we are in a stressed state, or they will produce progesterone and estrogen if we're in a chilled out state. Because obviously, if we're running from a saber-toothed tiger, if our tribe is under attack, we need to have stress hormones in order to be able to act, be able to move, and we're not going to be necessarily being able to create a baby, and it doesn't matter how chilled out we are. It doesn't matter about digesting food. Whereas when we are sitting around the campfire and everything is calm and we're breathing slowly, that's when the adrenals will go, yay, here's the nice calming progesterone to help you sleep, here's the estrogen to help the cells regenerate, the hormones to help you digest your food. So we need to be doing a lot more calming of our adrenals, yoga, mindfulness practices, walking in nature, vocal toning, so breathing practices that will activate the vagus nerve, the nerve that goes from the brain through all of the organs of the body. We need that activated if we're to go into that parasympathetic calming state. So nutrition is super important. You need to be eating really good quality, a relatively high diet in good fats, not bad fats, but omega-3 oils, so good fats, a lot of fiber, so a lot of vegetables in order to get the body to eliminate properly and just give us all the nutrients that we need, and really good quality protein so that our muscle fibers can stay nice and strong. It's really important to have a good diet, to take a lot of attention around your nutritional intake. And also have good sleep hygiene, so no tech late at night. Calm the system down. It's really important that you put sleeping enough and getting good quality sleep as the highest priority. And movement. Motion is lotion, so it doesn't need to be high impact exercise. In fact, if you try and do stuff that's too stressful, that you find yourself tired afterwards, you're actually getting the adrenals to pump out that cortisol, and you're going to find yourself in an inflammatory state and not producing the hormones you need to. So much better to, unless you've got an abundance of energy, to do more low impact, but get out there in nature, go for your walks, go swimming, do yoga, dancing, stuff that doesn't exhaust you. And I just thought I'd give you a little tip here of an exercise that you can do just for a minute even. 5 is better. If you take yourself onto your back with a bolster or a couple of firm pillows underneath your pelvis, I'll show you how quickly you can take yourself into a state of relaxation. So this does many things. For a start, our organs, our pelvic organs, are dropping away from the pelvic floor. If your pelvic floor has gone through birth trauma, or if you're in perimenopause and the pelvic floor muscles are not working as well as they used to, and you might be suffering the early signs of prolapse, then having some time where the organs are off the pelvic floor can be really, really beneficial. If you put your legs up a wall, so bolster underneath pelvis and then legs up the wall, you can just drain away inflammation from the legs. So really nice to do this at the end of the day. And the other thing about having your pelvis slightly bolstered is that it's easier for the diaphragm to push breath out of your lungs. so you can extend your exhalation a lot more easily. We want to breathe in, down into our belly, out here, right down into the bottom lobes of the lungs, so we feel our ribs are flaring out, and not just chest breathe. So breathing in here, and then as we exhale, the diaphragm, it's a bit easier to push all the breath out so we can extend the exhalation. So the slower we breathe, the more we stretch out the exhalation, the faster we're going to get into that calming, soothing, healing, regenerating state of the parasympathetic nervous system. And if you add a little bit of low vibrational sound on the exhalation, so either a sigh, like a ha with a nice loose jaw, or a hum, like a buzzy bee hum, you'll find you can make the exhalation even longer, and that low vibrational sound activates that vagus nerve, and it just helps us to go into that rest and digest state even deeper, even faster. So it might look like this. Or so I invite you to just do 3 of those even. See how you go. So we can all do little things just to help us to feel better. But please, if you do think that your hormones are not rebalancing after having a baby, that you might well be in perimenopause, and often we are in our early 40s, sometimes even in our late 30s, do go and see a specialist GP who specialises in women's health, and talk to them about potentially supplementing with some body identical HRT, and definitely make sure that you are eating well, you're moving, and you're actively doing things to make sure your adrenal glands are as healthy and as balanced and as calm as possible. Thanks so much. If you want to know more, if you would like to work with me, if you'd like to explore the whole peri to post-menopausal journey, supported with yoga, supported with lots of different wellbeing practices, then come visit me at lindastephenswellbeing.com.